Okay, so if you're gonna get into the Alfred's book and start like from the very beginning, you'll want to buy some picks. I think it would be a good idea to learn to play with a pick first. Learn normal guitar, and then after you get a general idea on how to play a normal guitar, then move into the classical guitar. You can just start with the classical guitar if you want. There's no problem there. But I think of it as, first you should learn to drive a car. You drive a normal car. Then you learn to drive a dragster. Same thing here. You learn to play a regular guitar. Then you specialize in classical guitar. So that's my feeling. So thin picks work best, and I just like these regular Fender picks. These seem to work best. They come in a few different thicknesses: thin, medium, and heavy. And I think there might even be an extra heavy. And there's many colors. I would say stick with this pick here, this color. I think some of the other textures, I think they're made out of the same stuff, but it's a different feel. So that's a personal preference. Picks come in many different styles and shapes. But just to learn to play the basics, I would just get a few of these. You can probably get like 5 of them at a music store for like $2-3. I usually buy them by the bag. You get a bag of 144 for $25. Then use a small bowl on your table next to your practice area to put your picks in, so they aren't just falling all over the floor. And normally with the classical guitar we don't use picks, but I have used one with mine. But you can if you want to. Okay. Don't put picks in your mouth. I heard a story once about a boy who swallowed a pick, and they brought him to the hospital. See, the pick was turned just a little bit to where it was blocking the wind inside of his throat, and he was choking. And the doctor had to cut him open to let the air go down in order to get the pick out. So don't put picks in your mouth. There's many different ways to tune the guitar. Usually with the classical guitar we use a tuning fork. There's an E tuning fork. It says E right on here. Some tuning forks are A. You'll see an A on here. For us, we normally want an E. Let's see. Where's mine? See, like here's mine. I've had this one forever. You just kind of tap it, and then you put it on your guitar, and it rings. Let's see here. Let's see if we can find something here. My guitar's in the other room. Okay. Okay. We'll get into that when we start doing the lessons. These days you can get an electronic tuner. That's fine. There's many different brand names. Korg is one of the better names in the electronic music area. So for $20 you can't go wrong. But you can see there's a lot of little dials here. So if you're into that type of thing. This one also has a built-in metronome. That's like when you play you'll get these clicks. Click, 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 click. That kind of keeps it in time. So here you get the tuner and the metronome all in one device. So that's pretty cool. I learned with this type of metronome These are kind of expensive, but I would recommend this because you take this thing out here and it goes click, 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 click. But the only thing bad with these are you drop it one time and it's broke. It doesn't work right. It goes click, 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 click. You never know if it's off or not. so if they weren't so expensive, it wouldn't be that bad. But these days, you can get this tuner and metronome built into one for $20. Now, I've had a lot of metronomes over the years. It's nice to have the real big ones. They're real nice to practice by. There's something about seeing that thing swing back and forth. It helps you stay in time. It's nice to have one of these little plastic string winders. When you put new strings on the guitar, it definitely saves time. They're only like $1 or $2 at a store. I see here on Amazon they're $5, but last one I bought, I think it was 50 cents. I don't remember them being that expensive. It's just a nice time saver. You don't need a strap for a classical guitar. You don't need a guitar cord. You're not plugging into an amp. Okay, so if you go to your lesson once a week, 30-minute lesson once a week, practice 30 minutes a day at least. In general, you can be a pretty good player in 1 year. You can be a great player in 2 years. 3 years or more, you can be an expert. Now, what this works out to is like 10,000 hours. This is like a general saying for anything that you study. So you can apply this to any business. First year you're good, second year you're kind of good, third year you're really good. And what that works out to is about 10,000 hours. So, you might be wondering, well, how long is this going to take? Well, I've seen people get really good in 6 months or so. I've seen people take 3 or 4 years and can still barely play Jingle Bells. So it just depends. Each person is different. Now, my experience, those people that are really slow catching on, those usually turn out to be the best players because they really want it. They're sticking with it until they get it. Usually people that catch on to something real easy, they're kind of a natural at it. They take it for granted, so they normally don't do anything with it. That's real common with people that have the ear. They have perfect pitch. They can pick out notes from the radio and play the song. It's just a natural ability they were born with. Most of those people don't do anything with it. So, that's just the way it is. Here's a picture of Soar. He's thought of as the father of classical guitar. And you can see he's holding a guitar. He's sitting by a table. He's got all his stuff on the table. As we get into the lessons, we'll learn a lot of music theory too. We'll play scales. We'll learn some chords. We'll learn about song structure. We'll learn about melody. We'll learn about all the fancy words in music. There's all types of books on musical scales and chords. You don't need all of them books. It's all basically the same stuff. They just put it in different terms so they can sell a book. You know? So music theory is music theory no matter what book you read. It's just like driving a car. You know? Driving a car is driving a car. It doesn't really matter what book you learn from. It's all going to be the same thing. Riding a bike is riding a bike. It doesn't really matter what book you read. Okay? So here's a scale book by Segovia, and we'll go through this one. That would be used as just like an exercise before you get into your songs. Sight reading is good. You should learn to read music. You don't have to be an expert at it, you know, but the more the better. It takes years to be able to just look at it and play it. You know. Usually you practice a song for hours and days and months before you get it. So. But we'll learn about the staff. This here's the staff. Tab notation we talked about. You know. Musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then it goes back to A. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know. That's all there is. You know. There's sharps and flats, but there's only 7 notes. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Some people think you should be able to look at it and play it, but my old piano teacher, she was 82. She was the director for the Music Teacher Association for my area. She said to me one time, if a student has a good ear, they should be allowed to use it. So if you hear me play something and you can copy it, you're using your ear. Okay? Get your eyes checked, because if you need glasses, it might be hard for you to read the paper, and then without even knowing it, that's one of the reasons why you might drop out. You can go down to Dollar Tree and get a cheap pair of glasses for $1. You might have to try on a few pairs, see which pair works best. But I have professionally made reading glasses. These cost $100 or $2. But I have those Dollar Tree glasses all over the place. I love them. I think they actually work better than these. They're marked like 1 or 1.5 or 2 or 2.5. That's like the strength. So you might have to just grab a few pair and grab a magazine in the store or something and see which one works best for you. Ear training, that's called perfect pitch. You don't need that to learn to play guitar. Most people don't have it, and usually those that do have it usually don't use it. Not all, but in general, that's the common thing. So we already talked about that. Loud sounds can damage your ears. Inside your ears, there's all these little hairs. When those hairs break, they don't grow back. So then when you're older, if you broke off all your hairs, you get a ringing in your ears. And that's what they call tinnitus. So, as you get into your music more, you might want to go get a hearing check. Usually the people who check your ears, I think lots of places they'll do it for free because they're trying to sell you a hearing aid. So here I'm just saying, avoid loud sounds. I know I've heard of stories where people go to one loud concert, a rock and roll show, standing up front right next to the speaker, and it damaged their ears. One loud concert. Or if you happen to work in a factory or something where there's a lot of loud noises, make sure you wear earplugs. Here's some of the popular classical guitar players. We talked about Segovia. We talked about Soar. John Williams was another one. Bream. And then Sharon Isbin. she has this book, and I think she's a director of the music department at Juilliard now too. But she's got this nice book. It's an answer book for the classical guitar. Here's Classical Guitar Magazine. Trade magazines are the best way to stay current in your business. If something new come out, it's in the magazine next month. Where if you had to wait for it to come out in a book, it may take a couple years to come out. These days, you can get this. I think they just had a Christmas sale. You can get a year subscription for like $9. When learning to play the classical guitar, take your time. Don't become overwhelmed. What we want is calm enthusiasm. Be excited that you're getting into something new, but don't get crazy about it. My experience is people who really get excited about something, they usually don't stick with it. I've seen it 1,000 times. So what we want is like a calm enthusiasm. It's real easy to become overwhelmed with all this stuff. So what we're doing with this sheet here, I'm just kind of skimming through all the major topics. So when you walk into a store to buy your guitar, you kind of know what you're looking at. You kind of know what you're getting into. Okay? But go easy on yourself. Don't create the unnecessary stress. The pressure is all in your head. It's all self-made. Don't get caught up in the hype. Just because you saw a new guitar in the magazine, don't think you gotta run out and get it. That used one is just fine. We're after the skill of playing the music, not new strings or a new box sitting on your lap. Okay? I've seen a lot of people, $1,000 guitar, $1,000 amp, can't play a note. They're caught up in the hype. Okay? Where I've seen guys playing a $50 beat up amp, cheap old guitar, and they're blowing away everybody in the room because they're going home and they're playing, they're practicing, they're learning about music, they're learning how to play the instrument. When you get into some of the classical guitar music, some of it's just downright goofy. A lot of classical guitar music is taken from classical piano, violin, or the lute. Lute is like an old-fashioned guitar from 1,000 years ago or something like that. And then they take a piano song and they try to put it on the guitar. And it just, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the person that changed it from piano to guitar didn't really know what they were doing. I remember reading an article about a violin player told one of the big people in classical music, I don't remember which one it was. It might have been Beethoven or Bach or one of those guys, but the violin player said to him, "That's impossible to play on the violin." And the writer said, "I can't be concerned with how you play." Okay, so if you bump into something that you're trying to learn, it's like, well, that's just nuts. Well, because it is. Okay, but that's the world of classical guitar. It's nice if the song was written on the classical guitar, because it works different than other instruments. Okay, sure, music is music, melody is melody, but when you add all the other things that we do on the guitar, we're playing the bass parts, we're playing the chords, and we're playing the melody, we're playing all three parts at the same time. Sometimes it becomes kind of awkward. When you play piano music on the guitar fretboard, it may be awkward. So you'll bump into a lot of that. The person who transcribed it from piano music to guitar, may not have been good. Commonly, you may need to change fingering noted on the sheet music, and in some cases even change notes. Okay, that's something that my classical guitar teacher taught me. I would go into him and he would say, "Oh, no, finger it like this, do it different, or don't play it there, play it down here." So if something doesn't seem right, just change it. Like I remember I had one classical guitar song. The whole song is just like normal classical guitar. One spot, the person who wrote the song strummed the whole guitar. Well, to me, that just seemed out of place. Just didn't make no sense. So I just changed it. Instead of strumming that one spot, I just played a couple notes there. And then it seemed better to me. So, see a chiropractor. What happens is, if our back is out, we'll get tennis elbow. So to help avoid carpal tunnel and tennis elbow, if you keep your back in line, that usually takes care of everything else. Okay? See, and like here's a common chart that the chiropractors use. So see, like here, if this part of your back is out, that would affect your arms and your elbows down, including hands, wrists, and fingers.